Hi, have you ever had a product where you've opened it up to change the batteries only to remember they've been in there a long time and maybe I left it switched on perhaps and oops, I hope the batteries haven't leaked, and then you open it up to find wah 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 wah. Unfortunately, this is an all too common sight, and a lot of people have their favourite culprits. Duracells leak, every one of them. Energizers, every one of them leaks. This name brand leaks, this one doesn't, etc, etc. Well, in this particular case, 2 Duracells failed, and 2 generic Coles brand alkalines worked fine. So I thought I'd actually run some long-term controlled experiments on battery leakage and see if there is any bias towards particular brands leaking and ones that don't. Let's go. You can see the horrific end result. So what we're actually looking at here is the leakage of potassium hydroxide from the battery, and that's pretty caustic stuff, but it actually combines with the carbon dioxide in the air, and that forms little potassium carbonate crystalline structures that we actually see here. That's these little white crystal structures, and they can really look quite intricate and fancy. It's, it's quite nice to actually look at, although it pretty much eats away all your battery terminals and ruins your gear and ruins your day. But yeah, it's kind of funky to look at though. And of course, there's various advisories from manufacturers, don't mix both old and new cells, don't mix brands and things like that. And well, how much truth there is to that, I'm not entirely sure. But of course, if you mix old and new cells, of course, when they discharge, potentially some of the good cells can actually reverse charge the dead cells when they die out first. And well, that can potentially cause issues like this, but isn't that wonderful? But either way, that can really ruin your day, and you have to clean out your products, get some isopropyl alcohol and clean them all out, and hopefully it hasn't corroded the terminals and you got to the product quick enough. But sometimes, yeah, your terminals can actually rust and corrode away. They get eaten away. Yeah, look at that. There's some growth on that one there. That's pretty horrible. If you don't clean that up quick, that can really rot away. So what I thought I'd do is get many different types of standard alkaline batteries and drain them in a sort of, a controlled-ish environment and see which ones leak and how long, etc. It's going to be a long-term test. We've got our standard Energizer Max with, regular Energizers with Power Seal technology, so presumably protects your devices. So presumably these aren't going to leak. Does it guarantee? They don't really say anything about leaking in the guarantee there, just, in their opinion. Do not install backwards charge, put in fire or mix with other battery types, may explode or leak, causing injury, may leak. Even though they have Power Seal technology. We've got our standard Duracell copper top, guaranteed for 10 years in storage, Duralock Power Reserve. These are all brand spanking new, by the way. There we go. Again, may explode or leak or cause injury. Blah, blah, blah. Panasonics, look at this. The EEVblog anti-leak protection triple tough coating. Thank God, there's no way in hell these things are going to leak. No siree, Bob. May explode or leak. Okay. And we've got Varta, made in Germany. Oh, yeah. Hi to all my German viewers. Fantastic. We'll give these a whirl. Once again, may explode or leak. Fujitsu, made in Japan. Hi to all my Japanese viewers. Fantastic. I got these from DigiKey. And we've got, Coles Alkaline. Coles is like a shopping, it's like a Walmart-y type shopping, not quite Walmart, it's like a grocery shopping centre kind of thing. So these are just, one hung low brand or whatever. Then I've got these Eclipse ones straight from JCar with the finest chinesium chemicals available. I'm sure Eclipse AA's. Yeah, all right, we'll give them a bell. I'm sure they'll say they're going to leak too. But anyway, we've got 7 different types. And I'm going to whack 2 of them in series because that's a typical configuration. I'm going to put a load on the end of it, and I'm going to whack them in the box and see what happens. But I'm going to get 2 different tests on each of these battery types. One will just have them fresh from a pack in series. The other will have one fresh and one partially discharged, just to see if the fresh one can actually attempt to recharge, or reverse charge the one that's already half depleted. And once again, this goes against the manufacturer's recommendations of not putting half charge, mixing new ones with old batteries and stuff like that, but it's as common as mud. So what I'm also going to do is actually put them inside these clear containers as well. They're not completely airtight seal, but it just kind of simulates an enclosed product. So if there is any hydrogen released from the battery, it might build up and stuff like that. So maybe that will have an effect, I don't know. But anyway, I'll have 14 of these containers with 2 batteries of each ones to leave this just going for however long it takes. Days, weeks, months, I don't know. We'll find out. Okay, so the plan is to use an electronic load to drain, I don't know, about half the capacity out of one of the batteries. So I'll get all the different types. I can whack 4 in series and drain a constant current out of this. Let's say a 100 milliamps drain. The capacity at 100 milliamps of an alkaline is around about 2500 milliamp hours. So let's drain half that, or 1250 milliamp hours. This load will automatically stop when that capacity is reached. So 1.25 amp hours. I've got it set to a constant current of 100 milliamps. So we'll go in there, stop capacity, stop timer, it doesn't matter, and trigger. We're off and running, and we'll eventually, I'll spare the details, take tens of hours. It'll drain 1200 milliamp hours or 1.25 amp hours out of these batteries, and I'll do it with all 7 types of batteries. Still going. Right, so I've got 7 half-drained batteries in there. I've marked them with a couple of black marks on them, and you'll know they're half-drained because if we do the old drop test, here we go. If we compare the good one to the... this one bounces, the drained one bounces a lot more, and the good one, of course, the fully charged one, you should actually be able to get that to stand up if you're careful enough. Anyway, that's very cool. I've done a whole video on that, so I might have to link that one at the end if you haven't seen it. So I've got 7 half-drained ones. I've manufactured 14 of these, so I'm going to have 14 test setups total. 7 of them will have, these are all batteries from the same batch, of course, from the same package. I'm going to put a half-drained one and a full one in series. I've got a 47 ohm resistor on here, so that'll be roughly about a 50 milliamp draw, give or take. So it'll take probably 2.5 days or something to fully drain these things. So I'll have 7 of them, each in their individual tub, with a half-drained and a full one, and then another one containing 2 full ones, brand new, and they're all from the same packets or whatnot. I'm not mixing any there, and the goal is to eventually get some of these to leak. That's the plan. They may not. There we have it, 2 stacks. We've got 7 with the half-dead and the full, and 7 with the full batteries. So I'll just leave those for a bunch of days. I'll have a look every day, but it should take a couple of days to drain these fully. But of course, I fully expect to have to leave these for weeks or a month or something like that, perhaps. So this could be a really long-term thing, but I guess this test doesn't really end until something leaks, damn it. All right, I gave up. It's been almost 10 months since I actually released this video on my second channel. Subscribe to my second channel if you haven't seen it, because I do videos like this. You would have known about this. Yeah, March 6th, 2019, I did this, and these have survived the great EEVblog flood of 2019, and they've just been sitting on the windowsill over there for all that time, and, well, unfortunately, I think we've come a gutser. I can't see any issues at all, although I haven't taken them out and inspected each one, but there's nothing obvious in either of them. This pile here are the ones that had the half-drain ones. These are the new in packet, two of them in series. So we've got the half-drained ones and the full ones, and well, I can't see anything. Let me take them out of the holders and I'll give you end-on shots, but nah. So here's the end caps of the fully charged ones, and if you don't know this, I've done a video on this. A lot of people think that the outer metal shell of the battery is connected to the electrical negative terminal, but it's not. You can actually see in this particular one, the Fujitsu's, you can actually see the seal around there. So the outer case is actually connected to the positive in most cases like this. But anyway, let's go over even our dreaded Duracell ones are just fine. And remember, this is about the same age and vintage as those corroded ones that were inside my EEVblog high voltage probe, and they're all just fine. And there's nothing on the positive side either, but you'd expect the leakage to happen where the seal is, which is on the negative, which is why we saw the leakage on the negative terminal of those ones inside my high voltage probe. But nah, look at that. They're like bought ones. And it's exactly the same result with the half-drained ones as well. There's just nothing wrong with these at all. Zero leakage and zero crystalline growth. So even on the dreaded Duracells, there they are, just fine. That's a null result for the half-drained batteries too. So although we've completely come a gutser on this test, of course a null result is still a result. It tells us that either A, all of these batteries, all these brands are actually good and there's nothing wrong with them and they don't leak, at least after 10 months continuously connected to a 47 ohm load like this, or B, that we simply didn't have the right conditions. And as I said, these are not sealed containers. In fact, some of them actually cracked, I guess, due to the UV exposure of being like sitting on my windowsill, although they don't get direct UV. They still get some, so, you know, they became a bit brittle, but they weren't like the really good seal ones. So these weren't hermetically sealed in any way, so it's not like it, you know, ran out of carbon dioxide to absorb or something like that and couldn't grow the crystalline structures. So, or we got, like, we simply didn't have the right conditions in terms of the load, because I think one person at least said on the original video 10 months ago that 47 ohms is too low. You have to really like almost self-discharge rate, which I think for an alkaline is like only like, you know, 0.2% self-discharge or something like that. It is quite low. And so I thought, you know, a 50 milliamp draw, maybe that was just too much. And that's probably all I can think of, is that maybe we should run this test again, as long as it takes, but with a much lighter load. I thought maybe mixing the batteries up with a full one and a dead one, the one with two stripes on them here, would have, you know, done the business, but it hasn't. So I think the money's probably on that we had the load a bit too low. We're draining them a bit too fast, and that somehow didn't give them time to build up pressure inside of what they needed. Something like that, perhaps. I don't know. Are there any battery chemistry experts, battery construction experts out there? Please let us know what the best load is. But yeah, I think we'll just have to rerun this experiment again with a much, much lighter load, like a couple of orders of magnitude lighter. Like, you know, not even 0.5 milliamps, like, you know, 50 microamps or something like that. You know, really sort of like low-level standby current, like something like, you know, a meter like this. You might get standby current of, you know, tens of microamps, or 50 microamps, I think might be typical. Batteries last, you know, for a couple of years in standby mode at 50 microamps, so maybe that's the go. All right, so let's just terminal test the batteries here, and let's see if maybe they've recovered a little bit due to the electrochemistry. I've done videos on this. I've done a lot of videos on batteries, actually. There you go, 75 millivolts. So, you know, they've been out for, you know, a few minutes, and 30, so that's half. That was the half-drained one, so that's interesting. The Energizer, whoa! Oh, Aye, it's negative. You can see it's negative 1 volt. And this is what I was hoping would happen. What's this one? 1 volt. There you go. So because this was the half drained one, the full drained one, because I took about half capacity. That's interesting, actually, because I took about, 1250 milliamp hours, half the capacity out of this. So you could say that half the capacity of this one is drained into this one, and it's forced it to go basically negative 1 volt, while this one's still positive. Let's see if any others have done that. No, the Fujis are fine. Coles, no. Panasonic, no. Eclipse, the J-Car specials. There you go. Once again, minus 1 volt, plus 1 volt. That's interesting. And the Duracells, negative. Oh, that'd be plus 1 volt, because that's that was the fully charged one, and negative 1 volt. So there you go. The Duracells, the Eclipse, and the Energizer, they all went negative. And so we basically reverse charged the batteries. Why it didn't happen in all of them, I don't know. If anyone knows the electrochemical reason why some would do it, reverse charge, and some wouldn't, when they were all pretty much equally discharged. So you'd expect them to do that, but like they effectively are alternate balance there at plus minus 1 volts. But that's interesting. Let's check out these ones over here, and I wouldn't expect these ones, although I have seen ones new out of the battery, out of the packet, that have actually self-discharged, because you can get like the odd dud battery and it's not as good as some of the others. Oh, sorry, I've got this, got the probes back to front. All the electrons are going to fall out. So, they do literally fall out, even with this light load. So yeah, they're all fine. Yep, as expected, because they weren't the half discharge ones. Cool, huh? So I'm afraid I'm going to have to hand this one over to the audience. Please leave it in the comments. If you are like an expert in battery chemistry, battery construction, something like that, please let us know possibly the test that'll give us the best odds of doing this. I suspect it's exactly the same thing, because batteries typically, I have seen batteries leak, and I've seen Duracells leak much worse than any of the others, but that's only anecdotal. Please leave it in the comments which ones you've seen leak before, but I've also had Energizers leak as well, and my EEVblog high voltage probe, available in my store down below, by the way, possibly for the last time, because Sapphire, who actually manufacture this probe, are they're trying to sell to someone at the moment, and if the sale falls through, then they will actually be shutting up shop, and they simply won't manufacture any probes anymore. I guess they're like the world leaders in these types of probes. Anyway, that's a fascinating story. I had that on the EEVblog forum. Anyway, I have seen the Energizers. These are different. They're now supplying Energizer Max in here, but I have seen like the regular Energizers, like these ones in there before, and I found in one case that just sitting in the packet, they actually started to leak and corrode and stuff like that. But I've seen it more predominant in Duracells. So it's certainly possible to get these suckers to leak with no load, but like it most often happens when you've got it sitting inside a product like this, and it draws, tens of microamps, 50 microamps or a little bit more standby. It tends to happen in products like that, but it can certainly happen without it. Like, I don't want to just like leave them sitting there doing nothing. I want to put them under at least some sort of load. Anyway, please leave it in the comments down below, and I guess if you see a comment down below that person looks like they're reputable and they know what they're doing, and you agree, then give that comment a thumbs up, and we'll see whoever gets the best comment. Perhaps I might rerun this long-term test again and implement it, but even a negative result like this, it's still a result. None of them leaked. I was just, bit disappointing, but yeah, Murphy every time. Watch pot never boils, all that sort of stuff. Anyway, hope you found the video interesting. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. As always, you can discuss it down below. Catch you next time. Oh, and follow me over on library.tv as well, because that's going to be huge. Anyway, got like 1,400 subscribers now. It's going gangbusters.